A legendary Hall of Fame quarterback disrespected Lamar Jackson, overlooked Lamar Jackson, regardless of what it was pretty crazy. We talk about that and so much more coming up on Locked On Ravens.
You are Locked On Ravens, your daily Baltimore Ravens podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are Locked On Ravens. Welcome into the show. I'm your host, Kevin Oestreicher of Ravens Wire, here with you on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks so much for being here with us today. We have a jam-packed episode, a Hall of Fame quarterback and a legendary one at that, just completely overlooked and pretty much disrespected Lamar Jackson. We're going to talk about that a little bit in the first part of the show because I do not know where he pulled some of these names from, considering the question that he was asked. In the second part of the show, Isaiah likely got cryptic on social media. And don't you just love cryptic season on social media? We're getting there. Isaiah likely, there are a lot of conversations. And of course, the Ravens, in the final part of the show, they released their unofficial depth chart. So we'll dive into that, what we can infer, take away, and if that could actually point to some trends that we might see early on in the season. I want to thank everybody for tuning in today, making Locked On Ravens a part of your day and your first listen each and every single day. Thanks out there to all the everydayers, the first-time listeners. If you're somewhere in the middle, thank you as well. And today's episode of Locked On Ravens is brought to you by Mazda. Just like there's more to every player, more dedication, more attention to detail, there's more to a Mazda vehicle. Stay tuned later in the episode for highlights in this week's Moving the Game Forward. Here with me today, it is from the Ravens Talk podcast and, of course, the Locked On Ravens Squad show. It is Sam Njoku. And Sam, it's crazy. It's just like the days, the hours, the minutes, the seconds, they're ticking down to that Sunday night action against the Bills. And with each second, and look, if you haven't checked it out, by the way, Sam released one of the best hype videos I have ever, and I'm not even saying this just to say it, legitimately, the attention to detail. Go check it out. It's on social media. You can see it at the below if you're on social media, or if you're on the video form right now, whether it's at Ravens Talk Pod, Ravens Talk Podcast. Tell us about the video first, Sam. How long did that take you to do? I'm like genuinely curious because it was insane.
It took me a little bit. I'm not going to lie. It took me, I'd say, about 3 months of thinking about what the storyline for the season was going to be. A lot of things I do with that is just trying to get a good idea of what the storyline is for the season. What are the Ravens trying to achieve? What are these players trying to achieve? So that took a little bit. The music was the easy part, honestly, because I went to the game last year against the Philadelphia Eagles and I heard that intro song for the Ravens. I thought, this is a really nice way to get hyped up for a game, let alone for a season of this magnitude. So after that, it was just getting the video together, getting the pieces together, and it all fell into place.
It tells a story very well. And that's, I think, and a lot of people do hype videos really well, but I love videos that tell a story. You did that. Again, I could honestly talk to you for the full episode about the video, but we're not going to do that. So be sure you check it out if you haven't already. I'll be sure to mention it again at the end of the show. But we have a lot to dive into, Sam. Obviously, Lamar Jackson is going to be at the center of a lot of discussion this season, a lot of conversation. That just is what it is at the quarterback position. And of course, when you are Lamar Jackson, what comes with that is a lot of really unnecessary hate and criticism from peers, national media, whatever it may be. Joe Montana, legendary San Francisco 49ers quarterback, he went on the Pat McAfee show. And, it was Pat, it was Bruce Arians, the whole crew was there. And Joe was asked the quarterbacks that he would start a franchise with today. Who would those? He was given 4 options. It was the quarterbacks that he would start a franchise with. He picked not Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson was nowhere to be found on this list. His list, Josh Allen 1, Joe Burrow 2, Justin Herbert was the 3rd quarterback he named, and Jalen Hurts came in at number 4. So no Lamar Jackson and no Patrick Mahomes. Someone mentioned Mahomes, and Montana was probably, kind of like, oh, wait, and ended up saying he thinks he would have picked Patrick Mahomes if he was younger. He ended up talking about how he kind of wanted to go with like younger quarterbacks, and that really doesn't make sense considering, Mahomes is, I think he's 29. He's not, I think Josh Allen is 29 too. Like Lamar's 28. The thing with me, Sam, is, again, everybody's entitled to their opinion, but not even a mention of Lamar Jackson for what he's done for the game, for everything that he has become as a quarterback. My take, and here it is, I'm going to lay it out for you. Justin Herbert is who the national media think Lamar Jackson is. All right, Justin Herbert, everybody says about Lamar Jackson, can't win in the playoffs. Justin Herbert's 0.
Yeah.
0-2 in the postseason. Blew that game against Jacksonville. Just abysmal showing, and then couldn't get the job done again when he had an opportunity. It feels like people talk about Lamar Jackson like he's Justin Herbert, and people talk about Justin Herbert like he is Lamar Jackson. And I don't understand where it comes from. It's not me hating on Justin Herbert. I think Justin Herbert's very talented. But is there any explanation or reason, Sam, you can think of for this? Like, there's none that I think of.
Well, let's start with your hot take, and that's not a hot take at all. That's exactly what it is. People are trying to put Lamar Jackson in the box of Justin Herbert. Lamar has performed well in the postseason. Has he got to a championship game? No. But Herbert hasn't even sniffed a postseason win. He doesn't look like he is playing the quarterback position at a high level during those contests. So I think he's exactly what people assume Lamar Jackson to be. Let's talk about Joe Montana. Let's just give him the benefit of old age. I mean, that's literally where my first thought process was with Montana. He doesn't understand the game of football anymore. I know Montana's a legend, and I know 49ers fans are going to go at me. But if you're going to go ahead and leave, one, the most winningest playoff quarterback in recent memory and Patrick Mahomes off the list, and the most talented quarterback, most dynamic quarterback ever off the list, something's off in your perception of what you'd want out of your franchise quarterback. So that is my initial thought process. I'll give him grace and put him in that category of, he just doesn't get the game of football anymore. But let's say he's a normal fan, a quarterback, obviously, and his pedigree understands the game of football. Then there's no excuse. You're really just hating on the quarterback who, in my opinion, and I said this, is a Super Bowl ring away from, my opinion, being considered to be potentially the greatest football player we've ever seen. The only reason why we haven't put him in that conversation is because he hasn't won a championship. No one's talking about Lamar Jackson being a bad quarterback, being a bad football player. They're only talking about him winning in the postseason. After that's gone, you get to be placed in the category of, well, how great is Lamar Jackson in terms of being the best we've ever seen do it? So in that regard, there's no reason why you can't have Lamar Jackson on the list. I give you some credence to not putting Patrick Mahomes on the list because he has a couple of bad seasons under his belt. But you got Jalen Hurts on there who, yes, won a championship, but really doesn't have much to do with the other three guys in terms of talent, in my opinion. Yes, you have Josh Allen there, but he also hasn't won a championship yet. And you put Herbert, as you mentioned. I mean, Herbert hasn't done anything outside of December through September to even be mentioned in one of those four quarterbacks. So, in my opinion, Joe Montana is just a little crazy, a little cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, but I will give him the grace of not knowing the game as well as others. Maybe that's why he kept Patrick Mahomes and Lamar off the list. But if he knows the game of football, he's being a straight up hater.
I mean, maybe Joe Montana is what the NFL world needed to unite Ravens and Chiefs fans together. I don't know. I mean, maybe that is what it is. I was going to ask you about Jalen Hurts, though, on this list over Lamar. I mean, you and I have had that conversation. We've talked about those two. We've talked about the Ravens roster versus the Eagles roster. I know you have put some very hot Jalen Hurts takes out there on the social media space, and you have gotten some hot responses back on those takes. Hey, one thing that I think is great is that you stand on business, all right? You believe what you believe, and I love that. And I think that that's how people should be.
Yeah.
For you, what's kind of this Lamar versus Jalen thing? Is it the championship is what Lamar Jackson needs? We know that. You mentioned, like, hey, Lamar for the champion. You had another take that got, I don't even know how many impressions is that now on social media about Lamar with a championship. That's what he needs to become. Was it one of the greatest or is the greatest quarterback? That
potentially the greatest football player of all time.
Right. So it's something where it's like, the championship holds weight. Does it hold enough weight for Jalen Hurts to be ranked better or perceived as better than Lamar Jackson? I personally don't think so, because championship to me, it is a team thing. Quarterback, obviously, it's the best position on the roster, the most important position on the roster. But, team-wise also, that's important. So what's kind of the Jalen Hurts versus Lamar Jackson opinion here of you, Sam?
Well, is Nick Foles one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time? He won a championship. Is Trent Dilfer, Ravens legend, I guess, in a way, is he the best quarterback of all time? No, it takes more than winning the championship to be considered to be a great QB. Now, I ask myself, and I ask the audience and those Philadelphia Eagles fans out there, what's more likely to happen? Is it more likely that Lamar Jackson eventually wins a championship? Or is it more likely that Jalen Hurts becomes something that he clearly hasn't shown in his few years in the National Football League? I believe it's more likely that Lamar Jackson wins a championship, in my opinion. So that I'm not worried about that in the sense of Lamar Jackson eventually being considered one of the greats. He's going to win a championship one day. Hopefully it's this year. If not, he's going to get it eventually. But for Jalen Hurts, he's got the number one thing that, I guess football fans want, and that's the championship out the back burner. He needs to focus on being a great QB. I think this year that Eagles defense is going to rely more on the secondary, what makes it more difficult for the offense to get things going. The pressure is going to be on Hurts and company, not necessarily on Saquon, to elevate this team. So maybe he has a chance to prove to me that he's something that he's not. I don't think he's, a bottom of the ring quarterback. I think he's a top 15 QB in this league. But if you talk about elite quarterbacks, you talk about somebody who I want to start as a quarterback for my franchise, Hurts hasn't shown me anything but the ability to take advantage of a great run game and a historically great defense. I mean, would I love for Lamar to be in that situation? Yes. But when I'm analyzing quarterbacks, what they're doing on the football field, Lamar Jackson's up here and Jalen Hurts is a few notches below. And that's okay. You don't need to be the greatest quarterback of all time. I'm sure Eagles fans would much rather have a quarterback that wins Super Bowls than being considered the greatest. But as far as legacy goes for these QBs, I'm looking at Lamar Jackson. I'm looking at Patrick Mahomes. I'm looking at Josh Allen. Not really looking at Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, to me, Jalen Hurts is even a top 10 quarterback, in my opinion. He's not bad. He's not a bad quarterback, and he's won a championship. Even guys like Dilfer and Foles, they were decent players. Now, not to the level Hurts is, but we know that, Nick Foles, kind of like a career fringe starter backup type guy. Obviously Dilfer, we know that situation in Baltimore in 2000. But to me, the championship does not close the gap from what Lamar Jackson is talent-wise versus where Jalen Hurts is talent-wise. It certainly has impact. Right? I'm not saying it doesn't. Look, we can be truthful about it. Jalen Hurts has a championship. Lamar does not. Jalen Hurts has a good roster. So does Lamar Jackson, right? Both of those things can be true. But for me, with what we've seen from Lamar over the course of his career, obviously as a thrower and as a runner, we've seen, you could just take it back to last season where, Sam and I reacted off the air after the squad show to Lamar being ranked number 2 behind Saquon Barkley, and Ravens long snapper Nick Moore and I talked about it on yesterday's episode. 41 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. This is a crazy season. Absolutely insane. Plus over 900 rushing yards. Not a lot of guys. In fact, of course, no one has done that in the league's history. Over 4,000 passing yards and over 900 rushing yards. Lamar's the only one to do that. The ring is important, right? We all know that. We know that is the final infinity stone for Lamar Jackson to unlock that all-time greatness, Sam, that you were talking about there.
Yes.
But in my opinion, it's not even the Hurts thing. It's the Herbert thing. It's not even the Hurts thing. If we're being honest. It's the Herbert thing. Why is Herbert in this conversation? And I'm very curious to know, if Joe Montana was asked about Lamar, what he would say. I'm not saying Joe Montana hates Lamar Jackson. I'm not saying Joe Montana thinks Lamar Jackson's bad. I'm not trying to say that at all. But when he was asked to make this list, he did not put Lamar Jackson on it. So very interesting, the list. And I think a lot of people also, again, Ravens and Chiefs fans are united at the hip on this one with Mahomes and Lamar not being in there. But coming up with the second part of the show, Isaiah Likely. We know the conversation around him. Will he play week 1? Will he not? What's his timeline? He put out a cryptic post on social media last night, and a lot of people are wondering, well, what does that mean? So be sure to stay tuned. A lot coming up on the show. First, this episode is brought to you by Mazda. This is Mazda's Moving the Game Forward, brought to you by those who believe it's not just about playing the game, it's about redefining it. Because these moments do more than win. They push what's possible. They remind us to go that extra yard, shift it into that extra gear, and keep moving the game forward. That's exactly what the Ravens are going to try to do this season after suffering a really heartbreaking divisional round loss to the Bills last season. They'll get to go back to Buffalo in week 1 to kick off this year to try to right their wrongs. And for Mark Andrews, he unfortunately was on the wrong end of a defining moment in the game. A couple of them actually, but the bigger one being a drop 2-point conversion that essentially sealed the Ravens' loss. That moment was big in defining the game. Mark Andrews is not going to let that define him. He has a positive outlook. He's excited to prove himself again. and to prove to everybody the player that he knows he is and continues to be for this Baltimore Ravens team. And that's what keeps fans and players alike moving forward, always chasing that next great moment. That's what Mark Andrews is going to do for the Ravens this season. When you follow what moves you, the unexpected is only the beginning. And just like there's more to every highlight, there's more to a Mazda vehicle. Mazda, move and be moved. And the show was brought to you by Supply House. When the opening whistle blows on a new repair, get your crew moving forward with Supply House. Order today and see parts on your doorstep tomorrow. Over 280,000 plumbing, HVAC, and electrical items from the most trusted brands in the business. Their real-time inventory and honest lead times keep you from punting projects, while their industry-leading customer service always has your blind side covered. If you need parts faster for a project, Supply House has next-day delivery. Talk about a game changer. Plus, the part finder tools and 3D schematics can save you hours on jobs where every detail matters, in their Trademaster perks like priority shipping and dedicated support. It makes the whole process so much smoother, which in turn makes everything so much smoother. So join the free Trademaster program today and score serious perks like priority shipping, lower prices, and a dedicated support line. Visit supplyhouse.com to sign up for free and use promo code SHNFL5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. Real people, real service. Back here on Locked On Ravens, Kevin Oestreicher, Sam Njoku, still talking Ravens football with you. Again, want to thank everybody for being here, making Locked On Ravens a part of your day. We're a 5-day-a-week Ravens podcast. Monday through Friday, we have your regularly scheduled programming. Plus, we also have live reactions to Ravens games now. We do the watch-alongs here on Locked On Ravens on game days. We go and have an instant reaction right after that. And then, of course, we have the Locked On Ravens squad show in post-game format, as well as during the week. We'll have one weekly show and then another after games throughout the season. So obviously Sam is on that, as well as former Ravens receiver Kadri Ismail. And we also have bonus episodes on the weekends when the headlines permit. And during the season, the headlines, they do permit a lot. So we have a lot of those. But Sam, Isaiah Likely is a really important part of the Ravens offense. It's a contract year for him, as it is for the entire Ravens tight end room. Suffers a broken foot during training camp, the earlier portion of it. I'm not a doctor. I mean, look, I looked it up. It's about a 4 to 8 week recovery, depending, it seems like. So he could be back for Sunday night, but I've been kind of holding firm that it's probably not going to happen. Likely put out a post on social media on Tuesday evening that is literally just a clock. It's like a stopwatch, a time, like clock face with 3 dots. This is a stopwatch. It's not a clock. It's a stopwatch with 3 dots. Now, this can mean a lot of different things. And we're not going to sit here and speculate for 10 to 12 minutes what a stopwatch with 3 dots means. So I think it's really funny, though. I mean, there are people under my post, if Dylan, if you're watching the show, he said the dots have me concerned. The time clock part seems fine, but the dots give an ominous negative vibe. If it was just the clock, then that would make me think it goes. I'm not making fun at all. Like, legitimately, I'm not. I think it's just it's so fascinating how one emoji, dots, one word can have different people feeling different types of ways about it. I mean, is this something, Sam? Is it nothing? Do you even care? Like what do you think about this whole thing?
I care. I'm not going to lie. I do care a little bit. I think it's something. I want to say it's nothing. I think it tells me that he's potentially close. I know he's close because the Ravens didn't put him on IR, meaning that they expect him to be here within the first 4 weeks. Do I expect him to play in week 1? I still don't. I think you need way more practice, especially leading up to the first game of the season. You don't really have a lot of reps. I mean, Isaiah Likely is a veteran. It's not like his first rodeo, so it won't be out of the realm of possibility that Isaiah Likely gets a chance to play in week 1. I just find it unlikely. Now, could he play? Sure, he could. The clock, hey, he might be good. But at least it tells me, at least the feeling I'm getting is that he's close to doing something. Maybe it's a new contract. Who knows? Maybe he plays in week 1. Maybe he plays in week 3. We don't know what it is. But what we do know is that Isaiah Likely is involved with the Baltimore Ravens, and that's a good thing because, again, all hands on deck. We need everybody playing at 100% for this game. I still think that the week 1 matchup against the Bills is the Mark Andrews game. He is coming out for revenge in this contest. So it'll be nice. I mean, from a storyline standpoint, if Mark Andrews is the main guy, he still will be the main guy, even as Isaiah Likely's out there. But I want more focus to be on him than anything else. Get healthy, Isaiah. Hopefully he is healthy enough. If he plays in week 1, we know hopefully that he's ready to go.
Well, you legitimately just blew my mind. I was not even sniffing the idea of this being about a contract.
That was my first thought.
It was all wow. For me, it was all about, and that's what I'm saying. One emoji, dots, one word can mean so many different things to so many different people. Like, that is so great. Wow. I never thought of it that way. Look, maybe it's nothing, maybe it's something, but there are multiple storylines around Isaiah in that tight end room this season. I agree with you. I know we've talked about it on the squad show and even just here on the show in general, where we're both expecting Mark to kind of go off in week 1 against the Bills. And, again, Nick Moore joined the show yesterday, the Ravens long snapper. And we talked about Mark and how the season unfortunately ended for him. And we talked about how Mark is hungry. He understands the circumstances. And, Nick called Mark like the rock for them since, he's been with the team, and hard worker, someone who truly like dedicates so much time to his craft. Like, we know that Mark feels terribly for what happened. Like, we know that. He's made it very clear, and he's made it also very clear that he's going to go out there, prove to people the player that he is. I've never wavered that he is still a top 5 tight end in this league. Nick said that he's the best in the league. Like, I don't want one moment or one situation to define him. Yes, the playoff success hasn't been there for the majority of his career. I understand that. He's been more of a regular season player. But you have him, Isaiah Likely, and Charlie Kolar when healthy in the same tight end room. There is no other team that is matching up with that in terms of the depth that they have. And it just goes to show that while Likely is an important piece of the offense, we know that, like you said, don't rush back. Like, he doesn't have to rush back. The Ravens, every game is important. And Nick and I talked about that too, where they want to start fast. They want to start and make an impact. They don't want that 0-2 thing to happen again this season. But even with the Jaire conversation, like, you don't want to rush a guy back for week 1. He's like 75% healthy. He's not helping the team on the field. He's getting burned, or, he can't get open because he's not himself. And then he just gets re-injured and he's out for the next 2 months. Like,
yeah,
the Ravens are just fine with Mark Andrews. They're just fine with Charlie Kolar. Likely helps their offense out, but I'm with you. Just get as healthy as you can and get back. That's what I want to see.
I am a Mark Andrews truther. I'm not trying to make excuses for his performance in the Bills game, because I think, again, the fumble's worse to me than the drop. That's neither here nor there. But as far as Mark Andrews being unable to perform in the postseason, you got to realize there's a lot of great defenses out there. And in the postseason, the number one objective for this team is to take away the best player from the quarterback. And most of the years, that has been Mark Andrews. So teams have done a good job to take him away from the game. Most recently, Lamar has way more weapons now. He's very good at distributing the football, so not much of an excuse in that regard. But I think this could be a good season for Mark Andrews. I'm with you. I still think he's a top 5 quarterback. Nick Moore calling him the best tight end in the league. Me 2-3 years ago, I was saying the same thing about Mark Andrews. So I think he's a top 5 tight end. He's going to be great this season. I think it starts week 1. And yeah, Isaiah Likely, as far as him, don't rush out there. Same with Jaire. Don't really know what's going on with Jaire anyway. I'm sure we'll talk about that in the third segment. But, if he's not ready to go, that's fine. Keep him on the sidelines. We won't really need him for this week 1 game. It's that third game of the season against the Lions, that Chiefs game coming up, where we'll need Jaire more. Of course, we want all hands on deck every game to give us the chance to go undefeated, get that 1 seed, what have you. But staying healthy and preparing for the postseason is the name of the game for the Baltimore Ravens.
I think Likely will have a big season. And look, for Likely, Andrews, Kolar, they're playing for the money. They're playing for the money. Mark still has 1 good contract left in him, by the way. So we're going to see how that all unfolds. And we know Likely's about to get his bag too. And don't sleep on Charlie Kolar too. Q'd get mad at me. So we got to mention Charlie Kolar as well as a guy that also can make an impact for sure. But speaking of these positions, the unofficial depth chart dropped for the Ravens on Tuesday night. We're going to dive into if those trends mean anything for the season, if guys are expected to have bigger workloads, smaller workloads. Where are these guys going to be playing? We got a lot of that and more coming up on Locked On Ravens. This episode is presented by Yahoo Fantasy. The NFL season is right around the corner, and you can feel the buzz. Fantasy football season is here. Everyone's researching, drafting, and building their championship squads. If you haven't joined the league yet, now's the time, and it's all happening on Yahoo Fantasy. This year, I'm playing fantasy football on Yahoo Fantasy, and you should too. Whether you're a first-timer or a veteran creating your millionth league, Yahoo Fantasy is loaded with fun ways to compete and brand new features that make the game even better. With season kickoff on September 4th, now is the time to start playing Yahoo Fantasy Football, which offers so many fun ways to compete. Want more ways to play? Try the brand new Yahoo Fantasy Guillotine League mode, where the lowest scoring team gets eliminated weekly until one team is left standing. Want to play instantly with friends? Try the new Draft with Friends mode. For the classics, get your crew together and go head-to-head in a private league. No crew, no problem. Join a public league, the easiest way to play. The NFL season kicks off September 4th, so don't wait. Start your league now. Draft now at yahoofantasy.com/LockedOnNFL. That's yahoofantasy.com/LockedOnNFL. And this episode is brought to you by FanDuel. The NFL season is almost here, and FanDuel's making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love using FanDuel because it fits however you like to bet. You got player props, building same-game parlays, or even jumping in live as the action unfolds. It makes every game more exciting, whether you're watching your team or just keeping an eye on your fantasy lineup. It's quick, it's easy, and it's the best way to add a little more energy to your Sundays. And obviously for the Ravens, a lot of energetic Sundays for this team. And obviously they're a top Super Bowl contender over on FanDuel. They are the top Super Bowl contender. They are the favorite right now to win the Super Bowl on FanDuel with plus 650. You got Buffalo next at plus 750 along with Philadelphia. And then Kansas City at plus 800. I like that plus 650 number for Baltimore. Their roster is great, and I think they really have a shot to bring it all home this year. So you're ready to play. Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. Back on Locked On Ravens with Sam and Joku. I am Kevin Oestreicher, diving into Ravens content and coverage. You do it 5 days a week plus more on Locked On Ravens. The season is almost here. It's crazy. I've mentioned it. You're just counting down the seconds until the Ravens kick off in Buffalo on Sunday Night Football. Electric atmosphere. And Sam, there are questions about who will be playing. How many snaps will certain players get? Well, the Ravens released their unofficial depth chart. Now, this is made by the Ravens PR staff. So this is not anything Eric DeCosta or John Harbaugh or any of the decision makers have come up with. So it's essentially, it is unofficial, right? That is what it is.
Yeah.
Stuff on here, though, which really there aren't a ton of surprises. I think the one that we talked about before hitting record, it says Odafe Oweh or Tavius Robinson, which I think speaks a little bit of volumes to Tavius. And we talked about this last night on the squad show. It's about how Tavius has kind of ascended here. He's been my pick for breakout player of the year since the season ended last year for the Ravens. I mean, look, I'd assume that Oweh has the official starting job there. But again, it goes to show Tavius is highly, highly regarded in that building. As we saw, they put out a whole little special about Tavius and Jared Johnson getting in the film room together. That was really cool to see too.
Yeah, that made me that or shows me, well, for starters, Tavius didn't play the entire preseason, which not a lot of players got a chance to do that. So that tells you, one, what the coaching staff believes in him. Also, he sets the edge better than most of the guys on that roster, maybe save for Mike Green. So he's going to have a prominent role for this team. They're going to try and do better at stopping the run without giving up too much in terms of the back end. So he may have a prominent role on this defense for sure this year. But overall, the depth chart, not too much surprises for me. I think the big one for me is actually Rashod Ali. He's not starting as the kickoff returner. Yeah. Makes me upset because that means that you didn't really need him, did you, John? You didn't really need to keep him. You could have had Jalen Armour-Davis over there backing up Chidobe Awuzie and Jaire Alexander, two injury-prone guys. Nope. Instead, we got Rashod Ali as the third kickoff return guy and maybe playing gunner or whatever for the special teams group. Didn't make a lot of sense to me then. Definitely doesn't make sense to me now if this is indeed correct. So that's my one big gripe about it. I'll be talking about Jalen Armour-Davis until, he retires. But neither here nor there. The point is Tavius Robinson, yep, big role for him. And this depth chart look at the big names on this list. I mean, it's ridiculous who the Ravens have to deal with. Aeneas Peebles isn't starting. He's going to be a big time player. John Jenkins hopefully can become that Michael Pierce substitute for them this year. So lots of big decisions for the Ravens coaching staff in terms of playing time, who gets those snaps. But this is a good problem to have.
This is a crazy switch up on Rashod Ali right now.
I am. Man, sorry.
So I can tell who you rather would have had.
Yes.
And I think the big thing too is a lot of people, and I've seen this on social media. It's like, well, with Jaire's injury history, obviously having another corner there, right? That would help. It makes sense. And I guess it's more smooth and streamlined with 6 corners, but you know, I was with you. I think 4 running backs is too much. I think 3 is that sweet spot. So, you know, if Harbaugh, the big sell that he told everyone was, oh, hey, you know, he's starting on all these special teams units and kickoff and punt and all this. And, you know, then you kind of get to hear and you're like, oh, well, this is a little bit different. So that was one of the big things. I think another thing that people are looking at is to see, oh, where's Mike Green on this list? And where are some of these younger players on this list? And, you know, obviously for the Ravens, if you are not a first round pick and there is not a clear path to playing time, you're probably going to have to earn your spot in your role. It's been the way that they do things. So Mike Green is behind Kyle Van Noy at the Sam position. There was actually a funny clip from Kyle Van Noy's show where he said that he's calling Mike Green Michael Green until he makes a couple of plays, and then he can earn the nickname Mike Green. So that's kind of a cool thing. And you know, to me, you look at some of the other, you mentioned Peoples not starting, and you know, offensively there really aren't a lot of surprises to me outside of the whole, you know, actually there are none at all on the offensive side of the ball. But it's kind of interesting too that, you know, I think it's cool Ruben Lowry's positional transformation, that he's like just firmly entrenched as that backup free safety now behind Malaki Starks. Like that's really cool. But other than that, like the big thing is probably Mike Green. I don't expect him to play a ton early on. Maybe not a ton. I don't expect him to play as much as people maybe think he will play early on. I know we've talked about this, but I think my prediction is after the first month of the season, he'll truly start to get some of those snaps. Is that kind of where you are?
How many snaps do you think he gets in this game?
In Buffalo?
Yeah.
Oh, 15 or 20.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. I'm at 15 or 20 snaps for him. I think he'll be the third down guy in case one of these guys are a little too tired. Maybe the Ravens see something that the Bills are doing that they think, oh, maybe Mike Green can exploit that. But for the most part, I think you start your guys that you know can play. This is a big time game. Seeding implications, we all know that. The Ravens did beat the Bills last time. Didn't end up mattering as far as seeding, but you expect the Ravens to be a little more competitive this year. They want to take chances putting a rookie out there in a big time moment when they need a sack, when they need a third down stop. So I think they'll limit his snaps. Now, if he goes crazy and gets after the quarterback in this first outing, I'm sure they'll feed the hot hand, so to speak, and get him out there a little bit more. But I'm sure that the message and the overall plan is to keep Kyle Van Noy, Odafe Owe, and Tavius Robinson as your 3 main pass rushers, and get Mike Green in there with some solid must-have, third and long sacks potentially, where you know that Josh Allen will keep the ball a little longer than usual. So we'll see. Again, I agree with you. I think by the end of the year, Mike Green's going to be their full-time starter because you can't keep talent like that down for too long, especially when you're pushing for something bigger. But I think for starters, first game of the year, first game ever as an NFL linebacker, edge rusher, it's okay. Keep him for 15, 20.
A lot of decisions for the Ravens. And again, this team is so positionless in a lot of different ways. They can use guys all over the field. It's not just cut and dry. Plus, again, this is an unofficial depth chart. So, of course, when the official one comes out, that's a whole different conversation. But, Sam, I appreciate your time. Thank you for hopping on. Please tell people where they can find you, where they can find that hype video. People need to know where to find it.
Yes. You can find me on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Ravens Talk Pod. The video is up on YouTube as well. So go ahead and check it out, like and comment, get amped up for the season. Definitely got me hyped up, and I took a little while to make it, so I'm sure you guys are enjoying it way more than I am, so that's pretty cool to see. New episode for the podcast will be out tomorrow as well, talking Ravens-Bills, getting that matchup together, seeing if there are things that the Ravens could do to exploit, whether or not there be a different outcome from the division round, so that'll be cool to see as well. And also, Ravens Squad show will be on Thursday, 7:30 p.m. And then following the Ravens-Bills game, we'll have the post-game show after the reaction from Kevin Oestreicher following his live stream. So lots of Ravens content for you. Hopefully you guys tune in.
Yep. order of operations, watch along during the game, instant reaction directly after, and then the squad show after the instant reaction. Lots of Ravens content for you, of course. Sam, I appreciate you. Go check out the hype video. Go check out Sam's work. All the links in the description down below. I appreciate you again, Sam. Thank you. And thank you to everybody who watched and listened today to Locked On Ravens. We'll be back here tomorrow talking more Ravens football, more Ravens content and coverage. So be sure to stay tuned for all that. Hit the like and subscribe button in video form and follow along and subscribe in audio form on the way out. I'll see you right back here tomorrow on Locked On Ravens.